Welcome to the Mind Spark, bringing you the latest news from around the world. The world is watching, eyes glued to screens as headlines flash across continents and newsrooms buzz with urgent updates. A crisis is unfolding on the longest undefended border on Earth, a line that has stood for over a century as a symbol of peace and cooperation. Today, July 8, 2025, the Alaska Highway, a vital artery connecting the lower 48 states to Alaska, is choked. Not by snow or landslides, but by a sudden and dramatic political decision. In a move that stunned both nations, Canada has shut down this crucial route, escalating a simmering trade dispute with Washington, and leaving thousands of travelers and truckers stranded in the vast northern wilderness. What began as a disagreement over tariffs has now spiraled into a full-blown diplomatic emergency, threatening to unravel the close-knit US-Canada alliance that has endured wars, recessions, and decades of partnership. The Alaska Highway, once a marvel of engineering and a testament to unity during World War II, is now the flashpoint of a conflict that risks undoing generations of goodwill and shared history. American families and truck drivers are trapped in limbo, supply chains are severed, and Alaskans face empty shelves, fuel shortages, and soaring prices for basic necessities. The human cost is mounting by the hour. Around the globe, allies and adversaries alike are taking note. If these two of the world's closest partners can't resolve their differences, what does that mean for the stability of Western alliances and the future of international cooperation? The Northern Blockade is about more than a highway. It's about broken trust, the fragility of diplomacy, and the far-reaching consequences when dialogue gives way to confrontation. As dawn breaks over the silent highway, the world waits anxiously for a resolution, hoping leaders can find common ground before the damage becomes permanent, and the rift between neighbors grows too wide to bridge. To grasp today's crisis, we must look back at the Alaska Highway's origins. Built during World War II, the highway was a joint US-Canada effort to defend North America after Pearl Harbor. Thousands of soldiers and engineers braved brutal conditions to carve a 500-mile road through wilderness in just 8 months. The highway became a symbol of unity and shared sacrifice, later transforming into a vital economic corridor. For generations, it's been Alaska's lifeline, connecting people, goods, and communities. Its closure now feels like a profound betrayal, turning a symbol of cooperation into one of division. The blockade severs a connection taken for granted for over 80 years. For those who depend on it, the shutdown is a direct blow to daily life. Many now wonder if the spirit of 1942 can ever be recovered. This crisis didn't erupt overnight. It's the result of a simmering trade war. Earlier this year, the US imposed steep tariffs on Canadian lumber and aluminum, devastating key Canadian industries. Ottawa's initial response was diplomatic, but as talks stalled, pressure mounted. With no progress, Canada sought leverage, targeting the Alaska Highway. Citing infrastructure costs, Canada imposed a hefty toll on US vehicles. Media, modern toll booth on Alaska Highway, with digital sign displaying toll rates in Canadian dollars, close-up of toll prices for trucks and private vehicles, $1,500 for trucks, $500 for private cars. Washington's reaction was swift and furious, with President Trump calling the tolls a hostile act. US drivers refused to pay. Canada denied entry to those who wouldn't. The result? An immediate, total blockade. The highway fell silent, traffic stopped, and the crisis began. What was once a negotiation tactic has become a full-blown standoff. The economic and diplomatic fallout is just beginning. The ongoing political chess match has created a real and growing human tragedy along the border, affecting thousands in ways that statistics alone can't capture. Hundreds of American families like the Millers now find themselves stranded. Savings dwindling, plans derailed, and lives put indefinitely on hold as they wait for a resolution that seems nowhere in sight. Makeshift communities of travelers have sprung up at border crossings, with families forced to choose between paying exorbitant tolls, taking risky and costly sea routes, or abandoning their plans altogether. Some have set up tents, while others sleep in their cars, hoping for news. Military families are also trapped in limbo, unable to report for duty or reunite with loved ones. For them, the border closure isn't just an inconvenience, it's a threat to their service, their careers, and their family bonds. The emotional and financial toll is immense. Missed jobs, lost wages, children unable to attend school, and family events experienced only through video calls. Birthdays, graduations, and even funerals are missed, deepening the sense of loss. For many, the political justifications mean little. They are collateral damage in a conflict they didn't create, powerless to change their circumstances. The Canadian government calls the blockade necessary for national interests. The US calls it a violation of international norms. Both sides defend their positions, but neither offers relief to those caught in the middle. But for those sleeping in cramped cars and rundown motels, the suffering is real and immediate. Nights are long, and uncertainty grows with each passing day. The standoff has turned ordinary people into pawns, their lives disrupted by decisions made far from the border itself. Their dreams of reunions, new beginnings, or simply returning home are slipping away, caught between two powerful governments unwilling to compromise. The human cost is mounting by the day, as families count their dwindling resources and wonder how much longer they can endure. The crisis is no longer abstract, it's personal, etched into the faces of those waiting, hoping, and suffering at the border. The blockade has severed a critical economic artery. Alaska relies on the lower 48 for much of its food and supplies. 30% of freight arrives by highway. Now, supermarket shelves are emptying, prices are soaring, and construction projects are stalled. Over 200 trucks a day once crossed the border. Now, that flow is zero. Businesses scramble for alternatives, but sea routes are slower, costlier, and already at capacity. Shipping prices have spiked, hitting small businesses hardest. The impact ripples into Canada too. Yukon and BC communities dependent on cross-border trade are suffering. Hotels, restaurants, and gas stations along the highway are empty. The blockade is a painful reminder. In a globalized world, disruption in one place can devastate many. Both sides of the border are feeling the pain. On the ground, frustration and desperation are growing. Truckers like Dave Jenkins are stranded, losing money as their cargo spoils. Alaskan families face rising prices and shortages, feeling abandoned by their own government. On the Canadian side, businesses along the highway are collapsing without American traffic. Jean-Luc Tremblay, a gas station owner, fears bankruptcy if the crisis drags on. Despite the hardship, some communities are coming together, like the joint barbecue at the closed Coots Sweetgrass Crossing. Neighbors on both sides share food and solidarity, quietly protesting the political division. "We're still one community, even if our governments are fighting," says the mayor of Coots. Amid division, small acts of unity offer hope. But for most, the uncertainty is overwhelming. The crisis is testing the resilience of border communities. People are demanding another way forward. The diplomatic relationship has devolved into a bitter war of words. The White House condemns Canada's actions as economic blackmail and a hostile act. Canada frames the tolls as a necessary defense of its industries and sovereignty. Both sides dig in. Washington threatens countermeasures, Ottawa stands firm. Political divisions deepen within both countries. U.S. lawmakers from Alaska demand urgent negotiations, while hardliners call for retaliation. In Canada, the government faces both praise and criticism for its bold move. Opposition leaders warn of the risks of economic war with a superpower. Public opinion is split. Many support standing up to U.S. pressure, but border communities are anxious. The rhetoric is escalating, complicating any path to resolution. The alliance is at its lowest point in decades. Experts warn that the current crisis is not only unprecedented, but it also threatens the very foundation of the U.S.-Canada alliance, a partnership that has endured for generations and shaped the stability of North America. Dr. Evelyn Reed, a leading voice in international relations, calls the use of the Alaska Highway as leverage a deep betrayal. She argues that this move has escalated the conflict from a matter of economics to one of national security, raising the stakes for both countries and their citizens. Economists are sounding the alarm, predicting that a prolonged blockade could trigger a regional recession, freeze cross-border investment, and cost thousands of jobs on both sides of the border. The ripple effects could extend far beyond the immediate region, impacting supply chains and consumer prices across North America. Retired General Michael Hayden warns that eroding trust between the two nations could undermine decades of defense cooperation. He notes that adversaries around the world are watching closely, looking for any sign of weakness or division between these historic allies. Is there a way back from the brink? Most experts agree. Only immediate de-escalation and high-level diplomacy can prevent lasting damage to the alliance. The stakes are too high for either side to ignore the need for urgent dialogue. Dr. Reed suggests a temporary mutual suspension. U.S. tariffs and Canadian tolls paused for 90 days to allow real negotiations. This cooling-off period would give both sides the breathing room needed to find common ground and rebuild trust. Such a move would immediately reopen the vital Alaska Highway, restore the flow of goods and people, and create space for a diplomatic solution to take shape. Without decisive action, both sides risk digging in deeper, making compromise even more difficult and prolonging the pain for ordinary citizens. The longer the standoff continues, the greater the damage will be, not just economically, but also to the spirit of cooperation that has defined the US-Canada relationship. This crisis is a true test of leadership and trust, demanding courage and vision from those at the helm. The world is watching for signs of compromise, hoping that cooler heads will prevail and that the alliance can emerge stronger from this challenge. The future of the alliance hangs in the balance, with every decision now carrying historic weight. The next steps taken by both nations will not only resolve this crisis, but will also define the course of North America for years to come. The empty Alaska Highway is now a symbol of a fractured partnership. The crisis has inflicted real pain, broken trust, and exposed deep fissures in the US-Canada relationship. The immediate priority: relieve human suffering and restore essential supplies. Rebuilding trust will require more than a trade deal. It demands renewed commitment to diplomacy and shared responsibility. Leaders must look beyond short-term politics to the long-term cost of conflict. The world is watching to see if these democracies can repair their alliance. The choice made now will shape North America's future. For those stranded and suffering, a solution cannot come soon enough.